so now we're going to go on to the note of, remember the 5-day diary I sent home with you?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for taking the time to fill this out for me.
Sure.
It's just going to help us analyze your overall diet and everything you eat throughout the day, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I took the time and actually underlined and circled some of the things in your diet that we want to talk about, okay?
Okay.
So actually in blue right here, I underlined your complex carbohydrates, and in the red over here, I circled your simple sugars just to understand our overall diet, okay?
Okay.
So our complex carbs, for example, are going to be like our pancakes, you eat your chicken nuggets because they're breaded, and like French fries. And then more our simple sugars are your grapes, like barbecue sauce, tomato sauce, all that, like we said about ketchups and all that earlier.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you now, we have our little chart over here, and this is just our cariogenic intake, like we talked about earlier about how the foods that cause cavities and the acid attacks and all that as well, okay? So as you can see here, you didn't eat breakfast on the first day,
Right.
and we want to stress the importance of eating your breakfast every day. This not only is beneficial for your whole health, but it can help with brain function, it can help with your metabolism, just starting off the day right, okay?
Okay.
So we want to talk a little bit about your frequencies of exposures. Like most of your exposures are with your meals, which is better,
Okay.
but you do have, even though your total exposures just for the first day are only 2, you are getting 3 to 4 per time you're eating.
Okay.
So we want to talk a little bit about trying to switch up your options and do a little substitutions, or even just make sure we're rinsing some things down with water just to make sure these aren't sticking to all of our teeth surfaces as well.
Okay.
So even if we cut out the chicken nuggets breaded and maybe even do some grilled chicken, like that's always an easy option. Like even, I know you want to talk about convenience foods, but even just like we said earlier, prepping them in advance, just grabbing them on the go, throwing them on salads, like that's the really good option here.
Okay.
On day 2, I did see you did eat breakfast, which is really good. So we started with orange juice. Everyone thinks like orange juice is really good for you. I mean, it is high in vitamin C. It is really good for you, but we want to remember that there is acid in that.
Right.
So with the acid, we want to make sure we're washing it down with water. We want to make sure we're understanding that this is in our mouth and this is acidic, so we want to drink it all in one sitting.
Okay.
Versus, like I said, dragging it along the day or taking it to go after we finish breakfast.
Okay.
We want to make sure we finish it with our breakfast.
Okay.
So then also, like, here again, we only have, the morning we had 3 exposures, but that's only 1 exposure for 1 sitting.
Okay.
And down here we had the 4 exposures, but it was also in 1 sitting as well.
Okay.
So you can have up to about 10 exposures per day if you're eating throughout the day, so it is better that you aren't snacking,
Okay.
but we want to think of some healthier options, even instead of regular pasta, switching it to whole grain. Whole grain's really good for you,
Yeah.
so we want to talk about that as well. And for the next day, you didn't eat breakfast there, but for lunch, you had 3 exposures and for a total of 1, and then for dinner you had 2 as well.
Okay.
So for the whole day, you were still only at 2. So we want to talk a little bit about, baked potatoes are really good for you, but we just want to make sure, because they are retentive, we're just drinking water, like that's the best option for us as well, okay?
Okay.
And we want to try, I know you're not a big fan of vegetables, but as we can see here, there's not a lot of vegetables in our diet. So we want to start thinking of some options, like we'll talk about later, to incorporate some vegetables into our diet.
Okay.
So up here again, we have French toast. I know French toast normally has like cinnamon and syrup and all that on it, but if we would even just switch our French toast out to whole grain toast, that would just make that slight difference. That would help it be better for our overall health.
Okay.
And like we said down here, even the buns, you could switch those out for just whole grain buns. It's better.
Versus the white.
Exactly.
Okay.
And same with, but down here you did snack a little bit. You had some pretzels in your little Coke down there. So it is better, even if I know you're drinking it, but just try and drink it in 1 sitting versus taking it the rest of the night with us.
Okay.
And obviously drink some water and then make sure we brush our teeth before bed so it's not sitting on our teeth and the acid attacks happening all night.
Right.
And then our final day, you didn't have breakfast again, but you did incorporate some applesauce. You did have some rice, like we said, the pasta and all that. You don't have to switch all of them to whole grain, but whenever you can, just try and incorporate whole grains into your diet.
Okay.
And as well as the pizza has the bread. Not a lot of people realize that this is sugars, but since they are since Coke is a solid, or Coke is a sugar in solution, but the pizza is the solid and retentive, so it actually has to break down into the sugar, but there still is sugar in that because of the carbohydrates. Okay. So we're gonna go now a little bit onto your daily diet.
Okay.
So these are gonna be our daily, this is on my plate,
Okay.
so we can just access that online. And this is gonna tell us our daily allowances for each category on our plate.
Okay.
So we wanna start with your whole grains. So you are doing good on normal grains, but we wanna just incorporate some whole grains, like you're eating your Triscuits, sometimes those are whole grain, some breads and pastas and all that, so those are really good options. The allowance for your height and weight and everything and your amount of exercise is about 7 ounces per day.
Okay.
So 7 ounces per day is about the size of a light bulb. So that's a good visual to understand about how much we should get a day.
Yeah.
So then on the note of vegetables. So I know we don't need a lot of vegetables, and we'll talk about some suggestions in a little bit, but we want about 3 cups per day. So on the understanding of cups, a cup is for a woman is just about the size of her fist.
Okay.
So we want about 3 of those. Sometimes you can even just get a measuring cup out, that can help too, but a good comparison for size is our fist.
Okay.
And along the notes of fruit, it is the same, it is 2 cups, so again, like we said, talk about the fist. I mean, you're eating your grapes and all that too, but we just want to talk about some further options in the future.
Okay.
And I know you are lactose intolerant, but the recommended dose for dairy is 3 cups a day.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about some options for that too. And like I said, I know milk's different, but it is about, a cup's about the size of your fist. So even just looking in comparison, you can understand like with yogurt and all that as well.
Okay.
And then finally, some protein sources. You are doing really good on your protein actually. You're trying to incorporate not only just bacon, but chicken and all that. So grilled is obviously the better option.
Right.
And we want about 6 ounces per day, which a deck of cards is about 3 to 4 ounces. So just about 2 decks of cards a day would be a really good option.
Okay.
And then on the note of oils, this is just your mayonnaises, your margarines, French dressings, even an oil.
Okay.
And we want 6 teaspoons per day, and 1 teaspoon is actually about the size of just like a dice that you play a card game with.
Oh, okay.
So this is a good comparison as well.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
Awesome. So do you have any questions or anything?
No, you're explaining it very well. Thank you.
Good. So this concludes section 3 of our nutrition video.